Hi, my name is Daniel Posney, and this is called Shifting Perspectives. And for this topic, it's about animal medicine related to rattlesnakes and sort of snakes as a whole, but specifically for rattlesnakes because they carry a certain specific energy and for some people, some fear. So I want to go into this and just invite some people that if they have the kind of attitude, might not be you, but some people have the attitude that, well, the medicine of a rattlesnake is to kill it, or the rattlesnake of a coyote is to shoot it. And that's a pretty limited perspective on things, that you should just kill anything that gives you fear. And I've been learning that there are certain animals in my life that I had fear about, but they had great medicine for me. One of them was a dislike for cats, and I realized that I have a strong connection with cats. One of them was horses, that I felt like they didn't want me around them, especially on them. But when I realized that there's a different medicine about horses, that I needed to engage in myself, and that's what they were looking for. That's what they were helping me engage in. I would have nightmares about big, lions or tigers, mostly lions, that they were always trying to eat me, or snakes were trying to bite my neck. I was in a room full of snakes and I had to wake myself up to get out of that nightmare. And it wasn't until that I really embraced this that I said, wait a minute, I can't really be killed in my dreams. So what if I went in there and faced my fears and I acknowledged it and I let them have me? Let the lion have me, let the snake have me, and everything completely changed. I've never really had a fear of snakes. I just didn't really know them that much because I grew up in Orange County and close to the ocean. But then since I moved to the desert, to Sedona area, there's been more interaction with snakes. And then more interaction in a different way with horses, like my friend Michelle Peterson, who does equine therapy. She really opened me up to seeing horses in a totally different way. So this is what my invitation is, just to kind of open up in a way that uh, gets you out of this place of fear and more understanding and more embracing. So anytime we're in fear about something that's made by God, with God, and on the planet with us, there's some work to be done there, and that includes sharks too, which is kind of a big topic right now out in the news. So about snakes, I'm going to read something in a book that I have about it, and they go pretty deep in it. But I want to kind of give my insight about my experience with snakes and what I see their medicine as, and see if it matches what the book says. So my experience with snakes, I've had a lot of experiences with rattlesnakes and other snakes like gopher snakes and stuff. And I do have a picture. Let's see if I can do this. Share, share, share. So this is a picture of me in Santa Barbara, and this is about 20 years ago, 15 years ago. And this is a friendly snake that we found in the backyard, and I felt pulled to pick it up, and it just kind of wrapped itself around my arm, and it was very friendly. And so that's my experience with handling the snake. But there's also a guy in Sedona in Uptown that brings snakes and tarantulas so you can hold them, non-venomous snakes, so people can get more used to them and, just get educated with them. And I got to hold tarantulas, which is like, when you're in like elementary school, there's always some kid that has a pet tarantula, and it's like the scariest thing you could imagine. But there's another one that I've never ever heard of a tarantula hurting anyone. It's just I've heard of the fear around them. So I decided, some years ago, to allow myself to hold them. So I held one hand, and then it climbed to the other hand and climbed to the other hand and climbed. It's like a little puppy dog sort of. So it really helped me to understand trances and get to love them. So I've been on the trail where I'm walking along, and I get into a narrow pass, and there's a snake right there. and he's just looking, just curious about who's walking by. And then I get to another part of the trail on another day, and another narrow pass, and I hear this little little rattle, and it's like just enough to get them to say, "Hey, I'm over here. Just want to let you know. I don't want to freak you out." And then another time, I'm on the trail talking to some people that I'm guiding on the trail, and the people start freaking out because there's a full adult rattlesnake walking behind me, like a foot away, and it just passed right behind me. Didn't do anything. Um, I've seen, my friend has been on the trail and seen a rattlesnake just like dip itself to the water, touch the water, and then swim across the creek to the other side. And they're just very curious, but they don't want any trouble. And recently, I've seen a rattlesnake on the property here, and we're just in a very rural area, so we've seen mountain lion and fox and bobcat and different animals. Um, and I saw this little skinny juvenile rattlesnake about a year ago, and I was kind of watering things, and it just kind of did a little rattle, and I was like, "Oh shit, there it is!" And then I didn't see it until just recently. I'm pretty sure it's the same one. It's a Western diamondback rattlesnake. And before I could get someone out here to move it, it's gone. And the thing is, I went out there to go say hi to it and welcome it and not be scared of it, and just kind of I was just kind of curious what it looked like. And so I got close enough that I could see it, but not close enough that it could strike me or feel threatened. But it still kind of did its little rattling, just very gentle, just, "Hey, don't come any closer." And I'm like, "Don't worry, I'm not coming closer." But I said, this is kind of a narrow passage here and people are going to be walking by. So would you mind getting in the bucket or, making your way and going somewhere else? And when I came out this morning, the snake was gone. And I looked all around the yard, all the usual places that a snake might hide. I moved plants and leaves and brush, and I couldn't find it. So it's somewhere on the property, but um, the message that I'm getting from rattlesnake is be very present. Like, what is a rattle? When and on the one hand, what is the rattlesnake? What does the experience of a rattlesnake give us? Well, if we're very calm and we're just aware of it, it causes us to be very present. And I don't know about you, but I start kind of looking around and going, okay, just keep my eyes wide open. I'm not going to be lost in conversation or on my cell phone or something. I'm just going to be kind of looking around. And if I stop somewhere, I'm going to kind of take a look around at where I'm at. And before I put my hand on a rock, I'm going to make sure I look at that rock, see what's on it. So it causes me to be a bit more present and aware. So thank you, Rattlesnake. Thank you for giving me that message. And maybe I need to be more present and aware in my life, not just walking around the property, make sure there's no rattlesnakes around, but maybe this is a message for me on a wider scale. The other thing is the rattlesnake it's really an animal that just wants to be left alone. It is curious, but it doesn't want to be in the way or doesn't want to be underfoot. It's just going to, if it knows that it can't get out of the way, it's going to rattle to let you know, you just don't step over here. So it's just wants to be left alone, and it's very flexible. So it's reminding me to be flexible, to move my body, to move myself in a way that instead of trying to move through obstacles, move around obstacles. The other thing is really big is, the snake is known to shed its skin. And don't we do that? So we look at all the different versions of yourself that you had in your life and think of that as a metaphor for, shedding your skin. So what does the snake do? Well, a snake will rub itself against a rough surface like a rock to kind of get that going. And other animals do that too. They'll rub that skin off, and eventually it peels off. They move their body around, and it's kind of like us, where we get some friction in our life, some upset or some trigger, and what that's inviting us to do is to let go of that old skin, that old version of ourselves, or those limiting beliefs. So maybe that's the other thing. If I would have seen the rattlesnake in a shedding movement, then that would have been a really strong message. If I would have seen the snake in a mating thing, then that would have been more of the sexual energy of the snake, because there's also that this relation with sexual energy and what's called kundalini energy, which is that snake of energy that's inside of you at the base of your spine, that can spiral up, that can weave its way up and then extend out to your crown. And that's what people go through, these kundalini moments and or kriyas, and really strong energy going through their body. And it's pretty powerful. Also, snakes are known for healing, like the caduceus, where the two snakes are kind of intertwined together in that pharmacological symbol that we're all familiar with. So even though there's like, it's funny because there's so many amazing metaphors or symbols for the snake that are all for us, for our spirituality, our sexuality, our sexual energy, the shedding the old self, becoming a new self. There's all things that are for us, and yet we're scared of it, which kind of makes me think like sometimes we're scared of this new becoming. What are we going to lose? Oh, we're going to lose my old skin. Yeah, but it doesn't serve you anymore. So it's a really cool insight to look at it clearly and say, all right, this is an animal that I'm scared of, because my whole understanding about the snake is it biting me. And we've seen what happens when people get bitten. But how many people do you know that have seen snakes and have been bitten by them? So there's probably a lot more people that we know that have seen snakes but haven't been bitten. And I've been in Sedona for coming up on 12 years. And maybe I just haven't talked to the right person, but I've never heard of anyone being bitten by a snake. But I've heard of a lot of people seeing snakes and rattlesnakes. And I myself have seen quite a few, and even on the property here, but had no bad experiences with them. So let's look at what the Animal Speaks book says about the rattlesnake. It's pretty in depth, so I'm going to read kind of fast, but here's the book. Animal Speak. Okay. The key message is rebirth, resurrection, initiation, and wisdom. Of all the reptiles, and maybe even all animals, the snake has been the subject of great controversy and paradox. Religious sources argue over whether it is the symbol of the higher or the lower, sometimes seen as devil, sometimes as healer. It is an animal that truly has earned the mythical reputation. In the Americas, the snake served as a prominent symbol in art and lore. To the Native Americans, the snake is a symbol of transformation and healing. Snake ceremonies involve learning to transmute the poisons within the body after being bitten multiple times. Survival of this would then enable the individual to transmute all poisons. In the Mesoamerican societies, the serpent or snake was depicted as feathered and flying. It was a symbol of the greatest god and hero, Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl's story is the myth of a dying god who would someday return. In many ways, he was the patron god of the Toltecs. In Greece, the snake was also a symbol of alchemy and healing. The god Hermes carried a staff upon which were entwined two snakes. This caduceus symbol is the primary symbol of modern medicine and doctors. It is a symbol of wisdom expressed through healing. In India, the goddess Vinata was the mother of snakes and the symbol of water in the underworld. For the snake, the serpent snake has long been a symbol of the sexual creative life force within humans, as is taught in Eastern traditions. In Chinese astrology, one of every 12 years is named for the snake. Those born within that year are believed to have the qualities of compassion, clairvoyance, and charm. They usually need to learn lessons associated with forgiveness, superstitiousness, and possessiveness. In Egypt, the snake has also had mystical significance. The head of the snake rests and sticks out at the brow area. It was believed to represent a state of inner sight and control of the universe. The snake has long been a symbol of death and rebirth. Before it sheds its skin, its eyes begin to cloud over, as if to indicate it is entering into a stage between life and death. Snake medicine people were those who learned to imitate the snake and move between the realms of life and death for healing and enlightenment. Um, the snake attacks quickly. It raises itself up and strikes quick and hard and true into its mark. It is not unusual to find that those with this totem can respond the same way if need be. Anytime a snake shows up as a totem, you can expect death and rebirth to occur in some area of your life. This rarely reflects an actual death, but rather a transition. Look for a change in conditions and a movement to new life. Examine what is going on around you. Are you needing to make changes but aren't for some reason? Are you trying to force change too quickly? Are you striking out at people it shouldn't? Are you not striking and should? Remember that a snake not only uses its venom and bite to overcome prey, but also for defense. What is needing to be healed? What new opportunities are surfacing that you need to strike out for and take advantage of? It can also reflect that your own creative forces are awakening. This stimulation of the Kundalini usually has physiological as well as spiritual consequences. Physiologically, it can activate the sexual drive, bring more energy, etc. Spiritually, it can stimulate greater perception of how to apply your insight and intuition. Your own vision and intuition will become more accurate. The rattlesnake, for example, moves around only during the cool hours of the night. Extreme heat is deadly to it. You may find yourself that becoming more nocturnal would be a benefit. It has a sidewinding motion to its movement. It also has a special sense organ, a small pit in the head that reacts to heat put out by other creatures. This is how it senses its prey. On a symbolic level, this indicates for those with this totem an increasing sensitivity to the auras of others. You may start seeing them soon, but you will definitely start sensing them. Trust what you feel around others, no matter how strange it may seem. So it just kind of goes on more deeper than that, but I'm called and instructed by people wiser than me to do some ceremony with snake, but not only the snake, but with snake world, like with the rattlesnake nation, with the nation of rattlesnake or the nation of snakes, and communicate with them and see what the message is. So today I'm going to do a little ceremony, and I'm going to sit outside, and I'm going to invite in snake medicine into my field and see what message it has for me, and know that any fear that might come up is a fear of my own power. And so I want to communicate with that and see if there's anything that the aspect of myself that is rattlesnake medicine needs to be engaged in a certain way. So that's how I see it, is that, you know, when we look at the world as a miracle and as astoundingly perfect, that animals will come into our life to give us a certain message. And I've had messages from mountain lion and bobcat and fox and coyote, and some of those animals people are afraid of. And yet there's certain messages. Mountain lion is about leadership. Bobcat is about being really present and being in that silent witnessing. Fox is also about looking from afar and being very curious. And so you can find out what the medicine is about any animal. Ants, man, I got bitten by ants the other day, and there's a message in that too. So if you see what it might be like to be that animal moving in nature in the way that it does, you can see how that might have a message for you. So this is what I invite you to do, is that the next animal that shows up in front of you physically or on the TV screen or in some kind of a message, see what that message might be. And I guarantee there's going to be some part of your life that it really fits. That's it. That's all I have for today. Thank you so much for listening, watching. I love you. Thank you, and bless you.